I do a lot of videos and articles comparing the importance of financial literacy education over STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the public school system at the high school level. When I do these comparisons, the few key points are it benefits 100% of students versus the less than 7% that benefits with STEM subjects. It makes a more meaningful difference in the average person's life, and it's very relevant to what they need. That's kind of my core argument when I make those videos. Now, one of the comments I always get back is, but STEM subjects are where jobs are at. They're highly lucrative, and it's a very growing space. I agree with. I never had any argument with that. So today, I want to present a video strictly focus on the employment opportunities and comparing STEM subjects and what employment opportunities are available to them, and financial literacy topics and what's available for those job opportunities of people that have an expertise and knowledge of personal financial matters. I'm just going to be looking at it from an employment perspective, but let's get into some of the details here now. First, I want to explain what STEM is for those that don't know. STEM subjects stand for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The reality is that most kids will take 6 full classes, 1 year long, of classes like algebra, algebra 2, geometry from the science side, biology, chemistry, maybe a life science. That's a typical path for students. Where financial literacy, they get no education, and even states that mandate financial literacy education, they get about 25 hours, actually less than 25 hours of total education time. Now with STEM, it sounds fancy with the technology and engineering piece, but the reality is, unless the kid's in a prestigious school or a private school or more privileged where they're at growing up, the reality is STEM in the high school level is just science and math. That's it. And I would say that's it for the majority of students. So the reality is STEM is just a brand, but the reality is most students just get science and education, but it prepares them to go to college and major in that field where they can get to that technology vertical or that engineering vertical. Now, financial literacy isn't taught, but I want to make a case for learning financial literacy and personal finance topics at the high school level open up opportunities in financial services. So we're going to be comparing the growth of STEM, looking at the employment numbers now, the projected growth, the average income with financial services, employment now, growth in income. And then I have one caveat I'll throw at the end that I think will sway your decision in terms of voting for financial literacy over STEM. But let's get into the details right now. Right now, currently, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, STEM jobs as of 2023 make up 6.2% of the workforce. Now they have a projected growth rate of 10.4%, which brings it to 6.8% of the projected workforce in 2033. So let's just make this number easy, rounding up a few points. 7% of the projected workforce will be in STEM-related fields, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Let's look at financial services. They make up currently about 4.5% of the workforce, so 4.5% of the workforce. Their growth rate, I showed different numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics depending on the vertical. So we have employment of securities, commodities, and financial service sales agents expected to grow 7%, but we have financial managers and other people in the financial space growing 17%. And I pulled those two out because the Bureau of Labor Statistics breaks financial services into many sectors, and they average between 7 and 17%. Let's make my math easy again and say 10%. So by 2033, financial services will make up about 5% of the workforce. So STEM right now has the advantage in terms of numbers. They have about 2% more by 2033 as far as projected employment numbers. So they have an edge there. In terms of income potential, very close. And again, these numbers are from Bureau of Labor Statistics and also Glassdoor, which is an employment company. STEM, 70 to 180,000. It shows petroleum engineers are 149,590 a year. Information system engineers, $141,000 a year. So just give you some ideas. Good paying jobs, right? Financial services, $61,000 to $170,000 a year. So pretty much right in line with STEM, maybe a little less, but pretty much in line. But I'll tell you what, I come from financial services 20 years ago, and the numbers we were doing were well in excess of that. So I think there's a much higher earning ability in financial services for the average person. So I disagree with that number. So let's just say employment numbers, the income's about the same. But STEM does still edge us out in terms of overall employment numbers. So let's look again at the amount of time we spend teaching this in school. STEM gets 6 classes, 1 full year each, right, on science and math. Financial literacy gets no time for most students, less than 25 hours for the states that do mandate financial literacy education. So in comparing employment numbers and so forth, they're pretty close. It's not a fair comparison when we're looking at what we're teaching our kids on that level. The other big compensating factor is the fact, this is a big one, 13% of companies, this is according to SHRM, Society for HR Management, 13% of companies conduct credit checks on their employees. So although I've been making the case of science and STEM subjects versus financial literacy and financial service jobs, right? It applies, the knowledge of personal finance applies to pretty much every job out there, because 13% of companies are doing credit checks. Data from Demos, 1 in 10 have been turned down for a job. This was reported by CNN Money. Demos is a big think tank that produces material. So 1 in 10 have been turned down for a job, 10%. We also look at 47% consider credit history for select jobs. So certain jobs require credit, and especially those jobs that have fiduciary responsibilities, or where people have access to sensitive information, or where things are, there's some risk for that company. So not only do people get turned down for employment, if they don't have good credit, it impedes their upward mobility within the organization. So there's some big problems there. So what does this mean? My point is, with financial service jobs representing a good amount of the workforce, 5% of the workforce, in addition to the amount of people that get turned down for jobs and employment, we have a clear winner, which is financial literacy should be taught, because it's going to benefit not only 100% of students, but if we can address that 10% of students that have that are getting turned down for jobs, and also open the other people up, they may have interest in financial service jobs, we have a clear winner, right? This is benefiting 15% or more. And I'm not even factoring in upward mobility when they're trying to get raises and do these different jobs within the company. I'm just factoring getting hired, number one, and then also the opportunity in financial services. So where STEM has some benefit, I think it's important for those people that have that track. And we also understand there's some people that have interest in science and math. I think that opportunity should be them to take that track. For me, completely a waste of time. I've never used it a day since. I've really had no need for it. I know most people I associate with has no need for that type of chemistry, biology, trying to figure out how to calculate angles of a triangle. We never cared. It never benefited us. But I know 100% of the people need financial literacy, not only to manage their money, but also because knowledge of personal finance opens up career paths, and it helps protect you. So if you find a job you really want, you go, you get employed, you do an internship there, everything's looking great, you interview, they hire you, and then they do the credit check and you're turned down. That's major heartbreak, and that's something that could have easily been prevented. So again, just looking at terms of employment, we have 10% of people that get turned down for a job due to credit. We could help them with a financial literacy class. We have the opportunity in financial services, which will be a 5% of the workforce by 2033, according to various reports. And in addition, the spillover benefits of just everybody needs to know how to manage their money. I think we have a clear winner. Let's join together so we can promote better education, more timely and relevant education in our students' life, and not just dominate school with science and math that benefit less than 7% of students in the real world. Let's change the system so our students graduate with real world knowledge that can benefit them, their families, and their community.